Dear friend, to answer your question, uh, there is no answer to those other than there is no direct answer. There is no way anybody can prove that. It's a complete legal fiction. But you are wrong on one thing. Freedom Law School has been offering that for 7 years. But the original person who made that offer, name is Irwin Schiff. He put up what I call the 3 impossible questions. Number 1, there is no constitutional amendment ordering us to file a 1040 or even a W-4. Number 2, Congress has never made a law ordering the continuation of the so-called victory tax. Under Pollocks and Farmers and Loan, which will have its 100th birthday next year, the decision has never been reversed in the history of the Supreme Court, to my knowledge, that supposedly made the supposedly ordering us to pay a permanent income tax, because the Pollocks and Farmers and Loan case basically stated that the so-called income tax is an excise tax, voluntary like the lottery, that is supposed to die within no more than 4 years of the tax's inception. Once the war was over, it was over. That's why since 1946 nobody has been required to pay a victory tax. But the government don't want you to know about that. And the last, I think, question you ask is, can you file a 1040 form without waiving your Fifth Amendment? No. Once you sign your name, you lose Fifth Amendment protection. And that's it. But I remembered back in the meeting Irwin Schiff back in the early 90s. Back in the 90s when I met Irwin Schiff, he used to make what he called the $50,000 challenge. He made all those bets, and to my knowledge nobody has ever collected. There's been one guy claim he had the answer and proved him wrong, but the court shot that guy down because of the very wording made it impossible, and the guy was still wrong. But he did try to, I think it was a high dollar attorney, tried to sue Irwin out of the money so he can claim he answered the questions. Didn't work. That was probably one of the biggest victories he ever legally had. But he proved, even up to a few years ago, which I'll try to link this video, or try to give you a reply, a link, or send you one that shows people that even a corporate CPA could not even answer his question on investigative television. When Irwin Schiff handed a copy of the IRS code and asked the man the same 3 questions you just did, rather than answer the question, he tried to get around it by saying, here's a guy who's like Santa Claus, and Irwin's a Jew. Funny. Jewish Santa Claus. But, all kidding aside, he couldn't answer the question. But 3 days later, Irwin Schiff's Freedom books were raided. And Irwin had gotten an injunction against selling his book to Federal Mafia, which only recently the Judge Lloyd made a temporary injunction a permanent one, with not so much as a review, just said it's permanent now. And he went to court to have the biggest part of his so-called contempt of court overturned. and only gained a net loss on his sentence of 3 months. Because originally he was sentenced to 11 months. Well, 2 months. Almost a year in jail for contempt. And got it reduced down to 9 months. So he gained a little bit of a net gain off his sentence. Didn't really matter. It was right now he's probably been spending that time traveling. But people who has often challenged the law, like Sherry Jackson, the so-called or lack of law, to tell people exactly what you and me, I've been saying this stuff since the 70s too, when I was first introduced to Irwin Schiff, that the income tax doesn't exist, that there is no law, not even in Title 26, the so-called IRS code, requiring the average Americans to even file, let alone pay. It's a code. It doesn't mean shit, because under Pollux and Farmers and Loan stated the 13 things what income is in plain lettering. And a lot of people are probably going to give me an argument about it, but the so-called arguments I can always prove mute. Straight up, the income tax for individuals to pay an income tax on the money that they make does not exist. So to answer your question, there is no yes answer to any of the questions you ask. They're all no's. So no matter how hard you look at it, they're all no's, no yes. I like your post. Keep fighting the good fight. You have a good one. Bye.